Stop dreaming small. Small dreams keep you comfortable. Small dreams keep you average. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. The life you want is not impossible. It's just on the other side of fear, and most people never cross that line. Dreaming big is not about fantasy. It's about refusing limits. You were not born to survive. You were born to build, create, and rise. But society trains you to think small, to be realistic, to play safe. Because big dreamers make people uncomfortable. A big dream demands a bigger mindset. It demands discipline. It demands sacrifice. It demands patience when results are silent. Dream big, not because it's easy, but because settling is dangerous. Your current situation is not your final destination. Your past does not define your potential. What defines you is how big you're willing to think and how hard you're willing to work. That big dreams are not just goals written on paper. They are a source of energy. They change the way you wake up in the morning. They change the way you walk, talk, and think. When you dream small, your effort stays small. Your hunger stays quiet. Your potential stays locked. But when you allow yourself to dream big, something shifts inside you. That fear is not your enemy. Fear is a signal. But most people misunderstand it. They feel fear and immediately stop. They interpret discomfort as danger. They assume fear means they're not ready. That single mistake keeps them trapped in the same place for years. Fear does not appear when you are doing something safe. Fear appears when you are stepping outside of what you know, when you are pushing beyond familiar limits, when you are standing at the edge of growth. Fear shows up when something matters. If what you're chasing doesn't scare you, it's probably not big enough to change your life. Fear is the body reacting to the unknown. It's the mind trying to protect you from uncertainty, from failure, from judgment, from the possibility of being wrong. But growth has never existed inside certainty. Every level of success requires you to walk into territory you have never been before. And every new level brings new fear. The difference between successful people and everyone else is not that they feel less fear. It's that they move with fear. They don't wait for confidence. They don't wait for clarity. They don't wait to feel ready. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear. It's action in the presence of it. Fear exposes the gap between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. That gap feels uncomfortable. It feels unstable. It feels risky. But that is exactly where transformation happens. Most people retreat the moment fear appears. They choose familiarity over potential, comfort over growth, security over possibility. They convince themselves they're being realistic. But in reality, they're being controlled. Fear becomes the decision maker. Fear dictates their limits. Fear defines their future. Big dreamers make a different choice. They don't eliminate fear. They reinterpret it. They see fear as evidence that they are expanding, as proof that they are challenging their old identity, as confirmation that they are moving towards something meaningful. Fear is a sign that you are no longer playing small. When you commit to a big vision, fear is inevitable, because big visions demand responsibility. They demand risk. They demand exposure. You risk being judged. You risk failing publicly. You risk discovering how much work is actually required. And the mind resists that. The mind prefers comfort. It prefers predictability. It prefers staying where it already knows the rules. That's why fear feels so convincing. It speaks in logical language. It tells you to wait, to prepare more, to delay. But fear never tells you when to move. If you listen to fear, you will always be almost ready, almost confident, almost prepared, and almost never successful. Fear grows when you avoid it. It shrinks when you face it. Every time you take action despite fear, you weaken its grip. You prove to yourself that you can survive discomfort. That proof builds mental strength. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to rely less on external validation. You begin to realize that fear does not control outcomes, your actions do. Fear also sharpens focus. When something scares you, it demands your attention. It forces you to be present. Used correctly, fear becomes fuel. It heightens awareness. It increases intensity. It pushes you to prepare deeper, work harder, and think more strategically. Athletes feel fear before competition. Leaders feel fear before big decisions. Entrepreneurs feel fear before taking risks, not because they are weak, but because they care. Fear means you're invested. The goal is not to get rid of fear. The goal is to move forward anyway, to train your mind to see fear not as a warning sign, but as a green light, a signal that you are stepping into growth, a signal that you are breaking old patterns, a signal that you are expanding your capacity. Every time you choose action over fear, you rewrite your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hesitates. You start seeing yourself as someone who acts. And that identity shift is powerful. Because once you realize fear is not fatal, once you realize it cannot stop you unless you allow it, you stop asking, what if it goes wrong? And you start asking, what if this changes everything? Big dreams demand more from you. They force you to raise your standards. They force you to grow into a version of yourself you've never been before. A big dream does not let you stay comfortable. It doesn't let you hide behind excuses. It doesn't let you live on autopilot, because small dreams can be achieved with average habits. Big dreams cannot. Big dreams require early mornings when no one is watching. Late nights when quitting feels easier than continuing. They require energy, focus, and intensity, not once, but every single day. And that energy doesn't come from motivation. It comes from vision. When your vision is small, your actions feel optional. But when your vision is big, your actions feel necessary. You stop asking, do I feel like doing this? And you start asking, what needs to be done? Big dreams create urgency. They create pressure. They create fire. That fire pushes you when discipline feels heavy. That fire keeps you moving when progress feels slow. That fire reminds you why quitting is not an option. Most people never experience this kind of energy because they never allow themselves to dream beyond what feels realistic. They limit their dreams to match their current situation, their current income, their current skills, their current confidence. But big dreamers don't do that. They understand one powerful truth: you don't start ready, you become ready along the way. Big dreams stretch your identity. They force you to learn faster. They force you to think sharper. They force you to become more disciplined, more focused, more resilient. You can't chase a big dream with a lazy mindset. It exposes weakness. It exposes inconsistency. It exposes excuses. And that's exactly why big dreams are powerful. They reveal who you really are. When the dream is big, average effort feels embarrassing. Wasted time feels painful. Distractions feel expensive. Suddenly, scrolling mindlessly doesn't feel harmless anymore. Suddenly, sleeping in doesn't feel relaxing. It feels like betrayal. Because your dream is bigger than your comfort. Big dreams give meaning to sacrifice. They make pain feel purposeful. They make struggle feel temporary. You're not tired for no reason. You're tired because you're building something that matters. And that changes everything. Big dreams also create emotional energy. They give you hope when reality feels heavy. They give you direction when life feels chaotic. When everything around you feels uncertain, your dream becomes your anchor. It reminds you why you started. It reminds you what you're moving toward. It reminds you that today's struggle is connected to tomorrow's success. People with big dreams don't need external validation. They don't need applause. They don't need permission. Their energy comes from inside, from the image they see in their mind, from the future they refuse to give up on, from the life they know is possible if they stay consistent long enough. Big dreams also raise your tolerance for discomfort. Things that used to break you stop affecting you the same way. Rejection becomes feedback. Failure becomes a lesson. Delay becomes part of the process. Because when the dream is big, you stop taking things personally. You understand that obstacles are not signals to stop. They are signals to adapt. That level of mental strength does not come from small goals. It comes from chasing something that scares you, something that challenges you, something that requires you to evolve. Big dreams don't just change what you do, they change who you become while doing it. They force you to upgrade your mindset, your habits, and your standards. They demand consistency even when emotions fluctuate. They demand belief even when results are invisible. And once that energy is activated, once that fire is lit, once that vision becomes clear, you stop moving like everyone else. You move with purpose. You move with intensity. You move with direction. Because big dreams don't allow average behavior. Every result you see in life appears twice. First in the mind, then in reality. Nothing shows up in your life by accident. Your habits, your income, your confidence, your environment. All of it is a reflection of how you think. Before success becomes visible, it becomes believable. Most people wait for their life to change before they change their mindset. They say they'll believe it when they see it. They'll commit when results appear. They'll act when confidence arrives. But that mindset keeps them stuck because life never moves first. The mind does. Your mind must arrive at the destination before your body ever can. If your mind is still trapped in doubt, your actions will always hesitate. If your mind is still focused on limitations, your effort will always be inconsistent. Success begins when your internal world changes before your external circumstances do. You don't wait to feel confident to take action. You take action to become confident. Your thoughts shape your decisions. Your decisions shape your habits. Your habits shape your identity. And identity shapes destiny. This is why mindset is everything. People fail long before they quit physically. They quit mentally. They stop believing before they stop trying. They start imagining failure before it ever happens. They mentally rehearse defeat instead of success. And the mind follows what it repeatedly sees. If your mind constantly visualizes limitation, your actions will unconsciously support that vision. That's why successful people are obsessive about what they allow into their mind. They guard their focus. They control their input. They don't allow negative narratives to live rent-free in their thoughts. They understand that clarity creates confidence. When your mind is clear on where you're going, your actions become sharper. Your energy becomes focused. Your distractions lose power. A scattered mind creates a scattered life, but a disciplined mind creates momentum. Your mind must get comfortable with the idea of success before your life ever reflects it. Not in a fantasy way, but in a committed way. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who finishes what they start, someone who does the work, even when motivation fades. That internal self-image matters more than any external motivation, because you will always act in alignment with who you believe you are. If you see yourself as average, you will unconsciously make average choices. If you see yourself as disciplined, your behavior will start to match that belief. Your mind sets the ceiling. That's why changing your environment alone is not enough. Changing strategies alone is not enough. If the mindset stays the same, the results eventually revert. Your mind must expand before your life can. This expansion doesn't happen overnight. It happens through repetition. Repeated thoughts become beliefs. Repeated beliefs become standards. And standards shape behavior. That's why daily mental discipline matters. What you listen to, what you focus on, what you repeat to yourself when things get hard. Those moments define who you become. When pressure hits, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your mindset. If your mind is trained to quit under stress, you will quit. If your mind is trained to adapt under stress, you will adapt. Your mind is either preparing you for success or preparing you for excuses. There's no neutral. Successful people rehearse success internally long before it appears externally. They visualize outcomes. They mentally practice discipline. They prepare their mind for resistance, setbacks, and delays. So when challenges arrive, they're not shocked. They're ready. They expected resistance. They planned for discomfort. They built mental strength before it was required. That mental preparation gives them an unfair advantage, because when others panic, they focus. When others doubt, they execute. When others hesitate, they move. Their life follows their mindset. Your mind must be trained to hold the vision even when reality hasn't caught up yet. To stay committed when progress is invisible. To stay disciplined when no one is watching. Because once your mind fully arrives at that future version of you, your actions begin to align naturally. You stop forcing motivation. You stop relying on emotion. You start operating from identity. And identity is powerful. Once your mind accepts that this is who you are becoming, quitting no longer feels like an option. Distractions feel irrelevant. And excuses feel dishonest. Dreams without action are just wishes. You can visualize all you want. You can talk about your goals all day. But if your actions don't change, nothing else will. Big dreams demand daily execution. Not once. Not when you feel inspired. Not when conditions are perfect. Every single day, most people fail, not because their dream is too big, but because their effort is too inconsistent. They show up strong for a week, then disappear for a month. They work hard when motivation is high, and disappear when discipline is required. But big dreams don't respond to occasional effort. They respond to repeated action. Daily action is what turns imagination into reality. Success is not built in moments of intensity. It's built in moments of repetition. The days when nothing exciting happens. The days when progress feels invisible. The days when quitting feels reasonable. Those are the days that matter most. Anyone can work hard when results are immediate. Very few can work hard when results are delayed. And that's where dreams are either built or buried. Daily action trains your mind to operate without emotion. It teaches you to move even when you don't feel like it. It removes motivation from the equation because motivation is unreliable. Discipline is not. When action becomes a habit, excuses lose power. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking how you feel. You stop waiting for the right mood. You act because that's who you are. Big dreams require systems, not feelings. Routines replace willpower. Structure replaces motivation. Consistency replaces intensity. That's how progress becomes inevitable. Small actions, repeated daily, create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates belief. And belief fuels bigger action. Most people underestimate what daily effort can do over time. They want fast results. They want instant transformation. But real success is gradual. It's quiet. It compounds. Daily action compounds skill. Daily action compounds discipline. Daily action compounds identity. Every day you show up, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. One workout doesn't change your body. One study session doesn't change your future. One disciplined day doesn't change your life. But repeated action does. And that's why consistency is rare, because it's boring, because it requires patience, because it doesn't give immediate rewards. But boredom is the price of greatness. Those who embrace it win. Daily action also exposes excuses. When you commit to showing up every day, you start seeing how often your mind tries to escape effort. You realize how creative excuses can be, how convincing they sound, how logical they feel. But daily action doesn't care about excuses. It doesn't require confidence. It doesn't require clarity. It requires commitment. And commitment changes behavior. Big dreams require you to act even when you're tired, even when you're uncertain, even when you're not seeing results. That's why daily action builds mental toughness. You train yourself to move forward under pressure. You train yourself to stay disciplined without rewards. You train yourself to trust the process. And over time, something powerful happens. Action becomes automatic. Effort becomes normal. Discipline becomes identity. You stop seeing daily work as sacrifice. You start seeing it as standard. People who succeed don't work harder once. They work consistently. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on habits. They don't wait for confidence. They build it through action. Daily action also sharpens focus. When you work on your dream every day, your priorities become clearer. Distractions lose appeal. Time becomes valuable. Energy becomes intentional. You stop wasting effort on things that don't matter because your dream demands attention. Big dreams don't coexist with procrastination. They expose it. You either align your daily actions with your dream, or you slowly drift away from it. There is no standing still. Every day you're either moving closer or reinforcing distance. That's why daily action is non-negotiable. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing something every day. Progress over perfection. Consistency over intensity. Execution over intention. Big dreams don't require perfect plans. They require persistent action. And once daily action becomes part of who you are, once showing up becomes automatic. Once effort becomes normal, your dream stops feeling distant and starts feeling inevitable. One of the hardest truths you will ever accept on your journey is that most people will never believe in your dream. Not because it's impossible, not because it's unrealistic, but because it's unfamiliar. People only understand goals that fit inside their own limits. And when your dream is bigger than their imagination, it threatens their comfort, so they question you, they doubt you, they label you unrealistic, crazy, or naive. Sometimes it's strangers, sometimes it's friends, and sometimes it's the people closest to you. That's what hurts the most. You expect support, you expect encouragement, Instead, you get silence or skepticism. But here's the truth most people never tell you. Lack of belief from others is not a sign you're wrong. It's often a sign you're early. People don't believe in outcomes they've never seen. They trust evidence, not vision. And in the beginning, vision is all you have. Big dreams don't come with proof. They come with conviction. And conviction is lonely. When you decide to dream big, you step into isolation. You walk a path few understand. You work when no one is watching. You sacrifice when no one is clapping. And that silence can be dangerous if you depend on external validation. Because applause doesn't come at the start. It comes at the finish. Most people only support success after it becomes obvious. After results are visible. After risk is gone, they don't see the late nights. They don't feel the doubt you fight daily. They don't carry the pressure you carry alone. That's why their opinion cannot guide your decisions. If you wait for permission, you will wait forever. If you wait for belief from others, you will never move. Every major success story began with disbelief. Every breakthrough looked foolish at first. Every dream worth chasing was once laughed at. And that laughter is part of the process. People project their fears onto your ambition. They confuse caution with wisdom. They call their limitations reality. But reality is not fixed. It's created. And the people who change it are always misunderstood at the start. You must learn to separate feedback from fear, advice from projection, concern from limitation. Not everyone who doubts you wants you to fail. Some simply don't know how to believe bigger than their experience. But their inability to see your vision does not invalidate it. Your belief has to be stronger than their doubt. Because when you chase a big dream, belief is fuel, and borrowed belief is unstable. You need internal conviction, the kind that doesn't require applause, the kind that survives silence, the kind that stays solid when no one agrees with you. That belief is built in private moments, in the decision to keep going when quitting feels logical, in choosing discipline when motivation disappears. That's where self-trust is forged. When no one believes in you, you learn to believe in yourself. When no one supports you, you learn to support your own vision. And that independence is powerful. Because once you stop needing validation, you become unstoppable. You stop explaining your goals. You stop defending your ambition. You stop shrinking your dreams to make others comfortable. You let results speak. And results speak louder than opinions ever will. The same people who doubt you now will ask how you did it later. Not because they suddenly understand the journey, but because success removes the need for explanation. Until then, silence is your training ground. Use it. Let the doubt sharpen your focus. Let the lack of support strengthen your resolve. Let the isolation teach you discipline. Because belief in yourself built without external validation is unbreakable. And here's the ending truth. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to build something that proves you right. Dream big. Work quietly. Stay consistent. And remember, they don't need to believe in your dream. You do. Dream big. Work harder than your excuses. And never apologize for wanting more. Because the world was never changed by people who dreamed small.